So welcome to the webinar. Today, the webinar, you're listening to real-time analytics for IoT and robotics. We are going to talk about how to basically do faster data processing and smarter decision-making based on that. But first of all, let's first tell you who we are and why we're doing this webinar. So Adam, who are you? Why are you here?
Yep, thanks, Natalia. Adam Jennings, Senior Solutions Architect here at DoubleCloud. I've been here almost a year. And my passion is helping customers move and analyze large amounts of data. So whether that's IoT data, any type of data, it doesn't matter. I just like seeing customers make business decisions with data.
Super. And I'm Natalia. So basically, it's been quite a long time. I'm in the tech world, but really what I'm passionate about is to help CTOs and engineers solving very hard data problems, and IoT analytics is still one of those. So that's why we're talking here. So DoubleCloud is a platform. We'll talk about it a bit later. You can read yourself on the slides as well. What is DoubleCloud? Let's move to the agenda. What we'll talk about today. So specifically, what we want to talk about is we'll give you a little bit of an overview. What is the real problem today in IoT and robotics today in 2023? And we will talk about what we learned from our customers. What are their real use cases? What are the real requirements for IoT analytics and how actually they solved us? And Adam will talk a little bit about, different choices that they made and why they mattered. So at the end of the webinar, we'll show you the checklist that you can use if you want to rethink your IoT analytics and solve certain problems that you currently have. But let's first start from what is currently happening in 2023. So basically, what I hear a lot, there are three major topics in the boardrooms. One is economic slowdown. So obviously, everybody's talking about the current climate, that, there are too many events in the world. Maybe there will be recession. Maybe there will be things that will go wrong. So let's save money. Let's make sure that we optimize our costs. And obviously, manufacturing, any industry where IoT is relevant, it's one of the industries where saving on costs is one of the biggest topic today in the bedroom, in the boardroom. Now, obviously, everybody's talking about raw materials prices, so that was a big hit last year. And there is also the topic of Industry 4.0. So what it means, it actually means that the region of APAC, so Asia Pacific region, is accelerating in adopting this. And Europe and the United States needs to be remain competitive. So, and that's why absolutely everybody is adopting Industry 4.0 and start seeing some results from it. So Adam asked me yesterday, he said, okay, but is there still a promise in cost optimizations? And yes, Adam, there is still. So there are different researchers out there from Accenture, from McKinsey, but basically, you still should expect pretty significant optimization of operational costs, be it, for example, in manufacturing, be it in transportation. There are real numbers out there if things are done in the right way in terms of your IoT analytics. But what exactly it means, what are specific problems actually everybody's dealing with? And this is where we start talking from our own experience a lot. There are different problems, it's the problems are either related to the amount of data you are dealing with, and you must deal with this real time. Everybody used to think that real time is expensive and let's do batch, but things changed. Or it's about cost of your infrastructure or data collection or data storage, or it's about, privacy and security, because when you're building analytics with different tools, the question of security is the big one. You need the same perimeter for security. So, but let's, because there's a real people out there. Adam, what do you think? Shall we ask them real questions and see what really matters for them?
We should.
So let's launch a quick survey. So please answer here. What is your biggest problem out of what we heard, or maybe you have something else actually, and then please give us a comment into the chat.
while we're waiting for that, I think, when you think of smart anything, smart manufacturing, you think about putting sensors on your devices. You can keep that uptime, just like the Gartner report showed, or smart agriculture. Maybe I don't need to water these plants at this time, right? So using data to be able to be better farmers. Smart cities, monitoring traffic, seeing if you can handle traffic patterns and how to best optimize, street lights and things like that. Smart health, whether that's wearables that you can wear, what smart watches, whatever. Putting that data back and analyzing that and letting your doctors have access to that. Or smart energy, saving on energy costs, energy consumption by monitoring, when somebody's in a room and when somebody's not.
Yeah, so and that's why there are like still real questions. So let's move on and let's go to how we can solve these problems. So obviously it's the basics. It starts with the right tool for the right use case, but there are so many tools out there. So what to choose if you're in IT analytics space and you're dealing with those very specific problems. So Adam, let's imagine. So this is a real story, right? There's a real customer of ours dealing with lots of IoT telemetry data and operating robots. So let's imagine they came to me and they said, Natalia, can DoubleCloud help me specifically to analyze lots of events, logs, and metrics generated by our devices, and our devices are everywhere across the world, and we need to do this real time. And for them, it matters because obviously they want to see the health of their devices in almost near real time, make sure that through the dashboard, they actually can help their operators resolve those problems. And, they wanted also to track business KPIs. For example, if their robots are delivering something, then how much time it takes? Are their robots available or not? Do they have wheels spinning or something got broken, or maybe they stuck somewhere, right. So things like that, like real life, real business out there. And the data is extremely important for them and extremely important for them real time to make decisions. So what would be your solution for them? What would you suggest to them?
Yeah, I think that you need to use something like the managed Kafka to stream data in. So you have all these events happening on these robots, and you need a place to temporarily store that. And so delivering that data to Kafka, and then either to Clickhouse or to Spark, where the data scientists live in Spark and they can do more querying and processing and trying to understand more about the IoT metrics, doing two-way communication with Clickhouse, and then combining that data from their OLTP system, which in this case is a Aurora RDS Postgres instance, so they can aggregate that data and then ultimately visualize that in something like a real-time tool like Grafana or our DoubleCloud visualization, which allows embedding of those dashboards into their applications.
So, and that's the real story, right? This is what they did.
That is what they did right here. Yep.
Okay. So, answer me why Kafka? Why Kafka would matter in this case?
Yeah. So I think Kafka is great because it's become the de facto standard, and by being open source, and there's different flavors of it out there in the ecosystem, but it's scalable, and so you can create high availability with fault tolerance and spin up new nodes as your data volumes increase. Because it's a streaming platform, it's real time, so you can get that data from ingestion from their IoT devices to either Spark or to Clickhouse in near real time. And then the last bullet there, it's integrated because it's the de facto standard. There's so many software libraries out there. You pick a source, pick an IoT device that you're wanting to send data from, whether it's your Raspberry Pi or something custom made. Use the SDKs, get that data into Kafka, and then because it's the standard, delivering that data to Clickhouse or to Spark is just as easy.
So I cannot not to ask this question, but there are so many Kafkas out there. So why would anybody choose DoubleCloud's Kafka? Any difference?
UI driven, a couple clicks to get set up, and it's the cheapest on the market.
Okay, thank you. So always good to hear. Now, what Kafka everybody knows. Why Clickhouse? What's that? Why I would choose, or the customer would choose it for IoT analytics specifically?
It's fast. I mean, that is everything about Clickhouse is fast. And so you see on here, a relative query processing time, the lower is better, and it just blows all the other ones out of the water, whether it's on a cold start or a cached execution. Clickhouse is fast, and it's made to be fast. So if you want that real-time analytics, Clickhouse is most likely your answer.
And Clickhouse is open source.
Clickhouse is open source, yes. Open source in 2016. It's a general purpose column-oriented database. So it works with time series data, but it doesn't have to be time series data. So you think about tech debt, and if I have more and more of my databases running in Clickhouse, I can swap teams. I can, have my DBAs work on, the similar data because they're working on a general purpose OLAP database like Clickhouse.
Why else would a customer choose Clickhouse if they want to build IoT analytics or robotics analytics?
It's fast. It integrates with Kafka natively. So if you want to stream that data in, start doing some pre-aggregations on your data, Clickhouse is made for some of those things. There's special table structures that allow you to, really get the most efficiency and truly get real-time analytics 100 times faster than Postgres.
What about if I need to work with really large amounts of data, and not only right now, the ones that I'm streaming, right now through Kafka, but I want to get access to 3 months, 1 year data.
Yeah, so a couple different ways to approach that. So you see on there the hybrid storage. Basically, I tell my customers, you want those first dashboards. That first, if your dashboards are 2 weeks, you want that to hit SSD. Everything else we can move over hybrid storage. We use the TTL statements in Clickhouse to do that. From the end user or from the BI tool standpoint, nothing changes in the query. It just behind the scenes, we're fetching that data from S3. So that's one way to handle large amounts of volume with hybrid storage. The other one is the scalability piece. So Clickhouse scales linearly, both vertically and horizontal. So, it doesn't matter those large IoT clusters. There's clusters out there that are 2,000 servers without performance degradation. So whether it's hybrid storage or scalability. And because we're using open source Clickhouse here at DoubleCloud, it integrates nicely with, name a tool, and you can find a library almost as good as the Kafka ecosystem, right? So whether it's Spark, whether it's Databricks, whether it's Kafka, whether it's whatever BI tool that you have out there, connects greatly with Clickhouse.
Okay, now let's talk about a little bit different use case and see what you would say there. So another customer, so these guys are collecting telemetry from machines, just that. But the whole difference is the following: they had very specific requirements. So they wanted it to be fault tolerant. Something happens, host failures, creates unnecessary pieces of data. They don't need it. So another specific requirement was they had a very specific production process that triggers SQL query, and if something is slow, if something waits 15, 20 minutes, it won't work. So it didn't work for them. Obviously, the analysts are pretty stretched, and they needed to test lots of hypotheses extremely fast. And again, the waiting time was crucial for them. And as I said, lots of machines around the world, and they are collecting data from it. So what you showed previously, the architecture that you showed previously,
right,
will it work for these guys?
Yeah, I think the architecture becomes very similar. So you have those Kafka streaming data into Clickhouse, so you can ultimately visualize that, allowing you to process those large volumes of telemetry data because the fault tolerant nature of both Clickhouse and of Kafka. So then gives you that distributed fault tolerant architecture. And then you can partition the data once it's landed in Clickhouse multiple different ways. And then so you can even get down to a single sensor. If that's really what you want to do, you want to see a time series of a single sensor, that's available in the data to you.
Okay, good. So sounds like, interesting. Now, the elephant is in the room would be obviously is the cost of all of this, and why it matters, because, for years, absolutely every data player on the market was selling this story, go and buy our tools to use your IoT analytics, but it became expensive and not necessarily performing as it should. So what about costs? You gave me some number, I put it here, but tell me how you came to this number and what actually it means.
Yeah, so volumes of data, you need more CPU to churn through it, at least on the Clickhouse side. And to be HA, or high availability, you want to have 3 or more nodes. So if you think I want to have 3 nodes, 1 in each AZ of my AWS environment, and then you want to think about hybrid storage. You offload some of that so that you decrease your costs without, paying a performance penalty. Metrics data is usually compressible, so you think a factor of 10 in Clickhouse. So you're saying all that together in S3 storage, 3 nodes, large enough to handle 1.5 terabytes, I would say in a week, and then the rest of that goes to S3. You're probably a little over 3,000 a month. And then the Kafka is similar story. 3 replicas for HA, volume of data, Zookeeper under the hood and keeping data in sync. You want that CPU and RAM to keep that data moving in real time. So probably another, around 3,000-ish a month. So I think safe estimate, 7,000 a month probably will get you a super large cluster dealing with a terabyte a day. And if you're dealing with a terabyte a day, please reach out. We'd love to talk to you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I like it. And actually, I think the reality is that that's the beauty of managed open source, right? So from one side, you can leverage the whole intelligence of the community out there and use great technologies. And from another side, it doesn't cost you, your whole business because it's not proprietary. It's still managed open source, right? So, but at the same, and in parallel, you don't think about security, you don't think about backups or anything. So these are the things that are taken care for you. And this, I imagine, there are further optimizations possible, right, in this pricing.
Yeah, I mean, we can, that's just a good starting point, and then we can tweak it from there, depending on how much you want to, what's your data retention like? Do I really need a year's worth of data? And can I offload it to S3 sooner? Can I optimize my storage of it? So there's a lot of things we can do to tweak it once you get it up and running. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So I think this is basically almost everything that we wanted to tell, real customer stories, real use cases, and so on. Just let's talk a little bit more about, what DoubleCloud is a platform where any company can build data pipelines or data analytics, sub-second data analytics with managed open source technologies. You told a lot about what is Clickhouse, why it matters for IoT analytics, why Kafka is great and how it's different from other Kafkas out there. What about transfer? Why transfer? What's that?
Yeah, so I talked about it in one use case really, really briefly, replicating data from the Aurora Postgres instance to Clickhouse. So it just makes it a UI-driven tool to do changes between source and target. So laying that data in Clickhouse. Yeah.
And it's not, Postgres is a great example, but I think it's a different, it connects to different databases, be it Snowflake or anything else. Okay. Visualization. So many visualization tools.
Yeah, it's our free visualization tool. Can replace other BI tools like Metabase or Superset, or replace or augment other proprietary tools if you're paying for a per seat license. And best part about it I like is it's embeddable in other applications, so you can embed charts and dashboards in other apps in your user's current workflow.
Yeah, and here in the scheme, we put it next to Clickhouse because it reads Clickhouse natively. But obviously, if you have some different use case, you can connect it to other databases, right?
Yeah, we can connect a handful of others. You can see our documentation; it's always being updated. But Snowflake's on there, BigQuery's on there, Prometheus is on there. So yeah, you have multiple options connecting to the visualization tool.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And I see Apache Airflow. What Apache Airflow does here?
Yeah, Apache Airflow is a great orchestration platform that's almost the de facto standard, kind of like Kafka is. And right now it's coming soon. So if you want to access early access that, please email us.
Okay, good. Thank you, Adam. So this is the checklist I talked about in the very beginning. Basically, if you want to rethink your analytics stack today, so your major story that you need to deliver is you need to focus on efficiency, how to improve the performance of your data stack, and cost savings, how to pay less, basically, for what you're doing. And then, what we hear from our customers, what matters is that you have a possibility to have real-time ingestion of devices, logs, and metrics. Your engine, the center of your whole stack, should be a scalable and cost-efficient analytics engine. You need support distributed architecture for fault tolerance, because this is how you do IoT in 2023. And finally, you should not ignore your OLTP data. You can aggregate it, and this is how you rebuild the right architecture for IT analytics today. Then obviously, if there is a story of the dashboard, so you need near real-time dashboarding, but you're still paying per user today, you might consider changing the tool. And finally, what I said earlier, if you have the data warehouse that you love and it's your principal data warehouse, so keep it as is. So for example, it's Snowflake or BigQuery, something like that, keep it as is, but you can still build a data mart, data store on top of that. And this will decrease actually the whole cost of your data stack, because you will save money on scanning. You won't need to scan everything in Snowflake or BigQuery, or they usually you pay per scan. But actually, most of the things will be happening in data mart, data store. So this decreases the pricing and actually also improves the query's performance, right, Adam?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think you have a great webinar on this topic.
I do have a great webinar on this topic. Last fall, so double.cloud/webinars, and you can find it.
Yeah, perfect. So I think that's basically it. So we'll share all of this with you guys. But in the meantime, do we have any questions? So you can put them into chat or Q&A.
We have a question here, Natalia. What are some of the best practices for implementing real-time analytical solutions for IoT and robotics, and how can companies ensure they are effective? So Adam, what's your practical, you're a person who's extremely practical. Yeah. So what do you think? Like, first 2 things to do. Yeah, I say, start with that checklist that we created, make sure you're going to get business value at the end of the day. Don't just, spin up some tech just to spin up some tech. And then think about using some of these standards that are out there, like Kafka and Clickhouse, for those real-time analytical solutions. And if you're just kicking the tires and testing it out, use a managed platform like DoubleCloud. So you're not spending a lot of time spinning up these resources, a couple clicks up and going with your clusters, and you can really test and see if it's going to be effective in your business.
Makes sense. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, looks like there are no other open questions. So good. So feel free to reach out anytime if you want. If you got a question, you are interested, so please then scan the code on the left. Please feel free to book a meeting or ask for a demo. We're always happy to look at the data stack, so for yours, and see if we can help. If we can, we will. If we can't, we will direct you to what might be a better use case or better technology for you. Or if you're interested in our webinars, so please again scan the code on the right, and then please feel free to join our future webinars. But overall, it was a pleasure. So thanks everybody. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Natalia.
And we'll talk to you soon, and we'll see you soon.
All right, talk soon.
Bye, everybody.